So we all know that BMW water pumps suck. It's pretty much a guarantee that at some point throughout your car's life they're going to fail, and if they do fail, they will leave you stranded because it is a very essential component to have the car running in tip-top shape. So it's important to figure out, how can I prevent water pump failure, and even if I can't prevent it, what are the signs that my water pump is failing? The reason I'm actually bringing this up for today's video is due to the fact that a lot of people have been DMing me on Instagram and leaving YouTube comments regarding water pump failure, saying all sorts of symptoms, and they're not sure if it's the water pump and blah 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 blah. So I figured, here's a video. Hopefully I'll try to make it as straightforward as possible, and keep in mind everything that I'm conveying to you guys is from my own personal experience with having a water pump failure on this car, which is my E92 335i. This isn't like I read something on the forums, I'm a mechanic or anything. This is just what I experienced and what I know personally will work. So I guess an important thing to note is that from what I've heard and what I've read and experienced personally is that the BMW water pumps, particularly on the E9X generation, can last anywhere between on average 70 to like 100,000 miles before they fail. Sometimes they'll fail prematurely, sometimes they will last longer than that. Now, it's really important to kind of understand that if your water pump has not been replaced and you are within that mileage range, you should probably just consider getting it replaced before it fails, because there really isn't any preventative telltale sign that your water pump is going out. It kind of just dies one day and then that's it. Like, you just have to hope that you're within the vicinity of a repair shop or that you're not far from home. What exactly then are the symptoms of the failing water pump? Well, to be straightforward, from my experience, again, this is coming from my personal experience, I'm not a mechanic or anything, there are 4 things that I was able to basically track down and clues that gave me a reason as to why my water pump failed. Now, the first being the cooling fan on the car was really loud. It was running at full speed and it literally sounded like an airplane or something. Like, I could hear it even with the windows up. That's how loud it was. So if we come over to the engine bay, right under this air inlet snorkel is the cooling fan, and if I were to remove this, you can actually see the blade. I apologize, it's a little bit dark, but under that is the fan, and that fan will be blowing on max speed for the most part when the water pump dies. Now, sometimes it can just be running really high because it's really hot outside or something, but for me, it happened during the evening. It was like 60 degrees and the fan was running at full speed, and I was like, that is not good. That is very off-putting, and that was the first red flag, to be honest with you guys. Second off, if we make our way into the car itself, now I didn't experience this because fortunately I got really suspicious and I brought my car home just in time before it could actually overheat or anything. Now, what will happen also is if you're driving the car and you don't realize that it is failing, what will eventually happen is that the engine will start to overheat and you will get a red flashing like temperature gauge symbol in the center on this little screen right here, and it'll basically force you to pull the car over and shut it off to cool down, and then you can start it up again, and then it'll force you to shut it off again just to prevent the engine from overheating because the pump isn't working. It's not flushing coolant through the entire cooling system properly, and therefore the engine is getting hot. Third symptom would basically have to be the OBD error codes. Now, I have an MHD Android tablet, and basically I hooked it up to the OBD2 on the car, and I plugged in, you know, my K plus D CAN cable, hooked it up to the USB OTG, plugged that into the Android device, loaded up MHD, and then ran the codes, and I got 2 strange codes. If I can remember correctly, I'll see if I can put up a screenshot, but one of them was like coolant pump deviation, and then another one was like electric coolant flush or something like that. I don't really remember the specific name, but I got 2 codes that were related to the electric cooling pump, and that was the third sign that kind of signified, well, something is up with the water pump, the electric pump itself. Obviously, these are electric because they will run after the car is even shut off to continue cooling the turbos on really hot days, and due to the fact that these engines run pretty hot in general. So that was the third symptom and clue, and this is going to be the fourth one. Now, in my opinion, I haven't really seen too many people talk about this, but for me personally, this was a dead giveaway that the water pump was pretty much dead. And let me go ahead and show you guys exactly how to do that and how to test to see if your water pump is healthy in general general, and that it actually is properly flushing coolant. Come over to the expansion tank right here, which actually holds the car's coolant. Let me unscrew the cap off of this. Now what happens is, as you can see, there's a screw here, and that's the coolant flush bleeder screw. So if you mechanically want to bleed the coolant system, then you can use this screw cap to, you know, do that. I'm not really sure how that works, but BMW fortunately has made it pretty easy to bleed the car's coolant system by going into the car, turning the ignition on, and then from there what you do is you turn the heater to the highest setting on both sides, and then you turn the blower motor fan on the lowest setting, and then from there you hold the gas pedal, I believe, all the way down for like 10 to 12 seconds, and what that does is it'll actually activate the water pump, again flushing coolant through the system to basically get rid of any air pockets and bleeding it essentially. Now what happens is, if you open this top while it's doing that, you can actually see and hear the pump actually shooting water and coolant into this tank, and you'll actually see that being properly done, and you'll see what it looks like normally. However, if the pump has failed, go ahead and try bleeding the system, and you'll hear the pump make really weird sounds. I believe I still have a video of this from when my water pump actually failed, and it sounds really weird, and you can see coolant isn't properly being flushed into the expansion tank. So that is basically a dead giveaway that the pump is dead. That's pretty much going to do it for this video today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy that video. I hope you guys found it informative in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, unfortunately, with these cars, it's pretty hard to kind of predict when it's going to fail. So if you can, just try to replace it as a preventative maintenance, because if it does go out and you're kind of far from home or something, you can and most likely will get stranded, and you'll need a tow or something like that. But like I said, those are the 4 symptoms and clues that you can basically use to solve whether or not your water pump has actually died. It's really a shame that we kind of have to deal with this issue on these cars. I wish the water pump was better from the factory. Whether it's an electrical or a mechanical issue, I don't really know, but either way, it's something you gotta put up with if you enjoy the E9X cars. So with all that being said, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, Simply Car Things. I've got plenty of videos on all things BMW related and just other cars in general. I like to feature other cars on the channel. And with all that being said, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. Have a great day, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.